Hello and welcome to Top Tier Magic, your source for the top decks, the top players, and the top Magic strategies. Episode 2, You Can't Keep a Good Bird Down. Top Tier Magic is in its beginning phase and is open to all sites for hosting. The last episode of Top Tier Magic was hosted by these supporters. This weekend was host to Star City Games Open Pittsburgh. Both the Legacy and Standard tournaments were conquered by Jerry Thompson. Again, Caw-Blade had a strong showing, with placing 5 of the top 8 slots. The name Hero Blade is little more than a delineation to denote the creature-heavy versions of Caw-Blade. The non-Caw-Blade contenders were Blue-Red Twin, Goblins, and Night Shift. Today's first deck spotlight is Jerry Thompson's Caw-Blade list. This deck falls in between Edgar's list with minimal creatures and the Hero Blade list with many creatures. This deck aims to take a controlling stance on the metagame, while still having the oomph to become aggressive at the drop of a coin. This is currently my favorite list in the standard metagame. The second deck spotlight of the day is Night Shift, as piloted and designed by Jonathan Sukanik, who is also known as WalchWolf92 on MTGO. The deck did very well, placing at 8th and 9th places in the Swiss. The main components of this deck that distinguish it from the metagame are the gravitational shifts and discard spells. This last weekend was also host to Italian Nationals. The tournament was a mixed constructed and limited event, so we must remember this isn't the best definition of a standard metagame. Even so, there is information to be gleaned from this tournament. Again, Caw-Blade flexes its wings and takes the top 2 slots of the tournament, with Blue-Red Twin taking the 3rd slot. The other 5 decks are a mix of the expected metagame opponents, with Valakut and Blue-Black Control making at least a partial comeback in Italy. Caw-Blade accounted for 43% of the top 8 decks we covered this week with 7 copies, while every other deck in the top 8 was limited to 2 or 1 copies. I think we are seeing the fall of Tempered Steel much like the Bulk with Author Red. Both were lauded for their insane speed and power upon their introduction in Standard, but it seems they were hated out of their formats relatively easily. Otherwise, the format seems normal with Caw-Blade taking a dominant stance and other decks working to undermine it. Today's podcast spotlight is one of my favorites. Limited Resources, hosted by Marshall Sutcliffe, is a weekly podcast focused on limited Magic from a Spike's perspective. The podcast has what I believe is the largest clan on MTGO, is famous for its limited set reviews the day before each pre-release, and has great guest hosts like Mike Flores, Patrick Chapin, Tom Martell, and John Lukes. Check it out on mtgcast.com. On a slow news week, the only real news is the notification that Star City Games has been forced to change 2 of its locations for upcoming events due to logistical issues. Star City Games Open Houston will be moved, but its destination is not yet determined. Personally, I am hoping for San Antonio, my hometown. SCG Open Los Angeles will be moved to Las Vegas. Well, wrapping things up, I hope you enjoyed the tweaked format and the new name for this Magic show. Of course, feedback is still needed. Do you like the current slide setup? Do you want me to keep the background music? So many more questions need to be answered to keep improving this show. As always, you can catch me on Twitter, email, and MTGO. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, comment, and like or dislike this video as you see fit. Until next time, this has been Jake Antonette's Turning the Cardboard Sideways, so you don't feel forced to do so yourself. Yes, I need a new outro statement.